And so his haiku is New Year's Day. Everything in blossom. I feel about average. Right? Now, of course, that's really good for us. Meditation retreat. Lots of practice. What happened? Now, something I heard repeatedly a few times, which is unique, actually, this retreat. I wonder why. Maybe you're just being more sincere. That's a nice way of saying it. Is that people are experiencing a lot of doubt, right? Doubt. There are these 5 hindrances, sensual desire. We got a lot of that around the air conditioning. And then there was ill will, meaning anger and like desire to hurt. We also got that around the air conditioning. And there is sloth and torpor. I love those terms. It just means feeling dull and unmotivated. It's pretty common. That happens after retreat, a week after the retreat. That's the main hindrance. And restless mind. Restless mind. Okay. Always looking for more. And another expression of restless mind is called boredom. Boredom and restless mind are actually the same thing. Okay? Because you feel bored and there's not enough going on, your mind starts reaching out in every direction to fill that. Okay, to fill that space. So the mind that wants more is restless. And it wants more because it's bored. Okay? But the 5th hindrance, which is what I heard today, is skeptical doubt. Doubt. Like, am I doing this right? Does it really work? Now, there's 2 types of doubt. There's doubt in your own ability to practice, like I can't do it. And there's doubt in the practice itself, like, as someone said to me, you're making this up, aren't you? Right? Like, you're just making it up. And I had to agree. I thought the compassionate thing would be to agree. So yeah, I wish I could make it up, right? I make up a lot of stuff, but freedom from suffering I haven't made up yet. Now, the fact is, or the experience of most of us, has not been ultimate liberation and freedom from suffering. And does that have to do with our not having experienced liberation and freedom from suffering? Or does it have to do that as soon as I experience some freedom, okay, I suddenly compare it to an idea I have of liberation, and it seems not to add up, okay? Or it just is not what I expected. I mean, it must be more than this. It has to be more than this. It has to be more than sitting in here watching my breath. It has to be more than getting up early and watching the sunrise. It has to be more than seeing the moon. It has to be more than eating my food and, wondering what else there could have been. Okay, it has to be more, right? More than this. Anybody know that Brian Ferry song? It always goes in my head. It plays in my head, more than this all the time. Roxy Music. More than this? And what did he say? There's nothing. You should listen to it. Now, is that depressing or is that exciting? Which one is it? If I say more than this, there's nothing, what is it to you? Is that the biggest disappointment in your life, or is that the best news you could hear? And is that coming from the experience? I really don't have an answer.
Take a vote.
Sorry?
You can take a vote.
Yeah. Buddhism is not democratic. Okay, that's lesson number 1. Yeah. Did the Buddha ever ask for a vote? Let's vote on who's going to take the robe. No, that's not going to happen. Not because I know, but because I don't know, right? And nobody knows, actually. Because we can't talk from knowing. And this is where the doubt comes from. The doubts come from that we know. And our practice is an invitation and a challenge to enter a little bit into the unknown. We say beginner's mind a lot, but what does that really mean? It means stepping outside of your comfort zone. Because your comfort zone, even if it's painful, it's a pain I know. Okay? It's a pain I'm familiar with. Right? Liberation is taking us beyond the knowns. Okay? And that's a little bit scary. So if you touch discomfort, anxiety, fear, apprehension, denial, or even just distraction, perhaps it's because you've stepped outside of the border of who you are. And your natural or your habit is to pull back. But what if you pause for a moment when you touch that sensitive place and it's really uncomfortable? But it's not the uncomfortable that you know. It's the discomfort that you don't know. Right? Then what? Can you pause there? We slow down in meditation for a real reason. To give way, to give space. To give space to others and to give space to ourselves. To discover things that perhaps we thought we knew, but when we look again, we didn't really know. Paying attention is looking again at some of the things that we think we know, and with that open mind and open heart, we start to see it in a new way. Because even if it's the same water or the same experience or the same view, it's not the same day. It's not the same sitting. And if it looks the same, like I've been there, done that, what's missing? Am I really looking? Or am I looking at my ideas? And this is what I'm trying to suggest, is that our doubt and the hindrances come from our ideas of the practice, but not the practice itself. Because the practice is unknown. You can study it, you can learn the techniques, you can be well-versed in all the Buddha Dharma. But whether you or someone who's been practicing for 50 years sits down, you're sitting in the unknown. You do not know what's going to come up, and you do not know what's going to happen and how you're going to deal with it. It can be pleasant, it can be unpleasant, but you really don't know. Can you open up to that unknown? Give yourself the space there. That is an act of kindness, right? The act of kindness, as we say, let the cow into the big field there, all right? Give yourself the space to roam. And roaming and wandering doesn't mean chewing over thoughts and going over your ideas. Okay? It means letting everything arise as it is and letting it pass. And maybe it'll drift a while. Maybe it'll roam in this field, but it just will settle down, you know? I want to read a koan. The koan is called No Mind, No Buddha. For anyone who's doubting, the answer is no. Think of the Heart Sutra, which we didn't recite today, but so what? The real teaching there is, no. No to what? What are we saying no to? What is the negation, the repeated negation in the Heart Sutra? Well, not so hard. No old age and death, no end to old age and death. No suffering, no cause of suffering, that's crazy. No extinguishing, no path, no wisdom, no gain. So why am I doing this? What's the point, right? What is the point if there's no path, there's no wisdom, there's no gain, there's no suffering, there's no cause of suffering? Okay, well, you just gave me a good answer. There is no practice then. There's nothing to do. So let's end early. All right? Yeah, sure. But is that the no? Is that the no? Or is that my no? That's my no. Because the no here is any idea you can have about your practice and about your life is an illusion and a belief and not a direct representation of reality. It is an idea that you have created, and you should take responsibility for your ideas. Okay? And if your ideas are causing you suffering, take responsibility for that. Understand those ideas are responsible, not the reality you're experiencing. Somebody can be enlightened in a cave, someone can be in a beautiful center and suffer. Okay? But wait, that center is beautiful. They have vegan food. Okay? Gourmet vegan. Right? Catered by Green's Restaurant. And they have, solar air conditioning. And everything is set up so that all the conditions are perfect. Why are you unhappy? No. Okay, what is the no? My ideas of the practice are generally mine. Can I own them? Own up to it. Right? That much of my life is spent living according to an illusion. Right? What is the illusion? It doesn't mean it's not real. This bottle is real. Okay. Is it good or bad? Is it helping or hurting me? Is it supporting my practice or not supporting my practice? Where did you get those ideas from? No suffering, no cause of suffering. Okay? Except the suffering that I produce. Yes, other people shoot and kill and do all sorts of stuff. Yes, that causes suffering. But I'm talking about my mental relationship to the rest of the world. When I read terrible suffering, does it make me angry or does it create compassion? Right? When I see difficulty around me, what is my reaction? Do I become cynical and think the world is a terrible place and it's full of suffering and there's no hope and the practice is useless? Or does it invigorate my intention to work even harder to relieve suffering? That is a choice I have to make. It's not made for me. Don't doubt the world. Don't doubt the practice. Doubt your own ideas of it. And it doesn't mean you should then just replace them with someone else's ideas. But you should seriously investigate whether the ideas you're living by are helping or harming your path to liberation. So many ideas that we carry limit us so severely that we feel like we can't do this. It's time to let them go. I want to, oh, the koan. See how distracted I am? And that just came from no mind, no Buddha. That's why I don't read the Heart Sutra, it's so distracting. A monk asked Nansen, oh, by the way, Nansen was see another distraction? Nansen was the monk who went into the meditation hall, and he saw everybody talking and like so excited about the Dharma, and they weren't being quiet. And he took a cat, and he held up the cat. Where's our cat? And
Go ahead.
tell me, white or black? White or black? Which one though? I couldn't. There's no way I could choose.
No cat.
And he said, no cat. So he held up the cat and said, if you can tell me the truth of the Dharma, okay, the Buddha way, you will save this cat. Otherwise, I'm cutting it in half. And everyone was so shocked, they were speechless, didn't say anything. Finally, they were quiet. He cut it in half. That's right. Don't you love these Zen stories? That's why I use them very sparingly, because they are prone to creating the wrong idea. Okay? See them as fiction, please. Cut it in half. The great master, though, his student, Joshu, who was Nansen's student, came afterwards, heard about the story, and took off his sandals and put them on his head. And that was a symbol of mourning, of grief. Okay? Like, oh, God. You know, it was like hearing the death of a loved one. He put his sandals on his head. Nansen saw that, and he said to the other students, if Joshu had been here, the cat would still be alive. Okay? Now, what is that? What a weird story, eh? Yeah. But I need to just, why did I even bring it up? Because of Nansen. And the point with this story, though, is that when you feel grief, okay, the Dharma is not a way of abstracting life away. The Dharma and the teaching and meditation is not a way to be indifferent and disconnected from the realities and the needs of real lives. And that's what Joshu expressed. He said, I can't believe this. I am mourning the cat like I'm mourning my own family member. I can't believe you did that. Okay, now it's time for mourning, right? You killed the cat, I'm mourning now. He's not like, oh, great wisdom, the cat is liberated. No, okay? He mourned the cat, and he showed real life concern. And the Dharma brings us back to the real life concern of relieving real suffering, okay, and increasing real joy. Not our ideas. So, what does Nansen say? A monk asked Nansen, is there a truth which no one has taught? Yeah? Like, what's the secret? I mean, come on, tell me the secret. Is there a secret? Is there a truth that no one has taught? And he said, the mind is not the Buddha and knowledge is not the way. Okay? The mind is not the Buddha and knowledge is not the way. Which is really weird because so much of the Zen stories say, what is Buddha? Mind. Mind is Buddha. Okay, the first teacher in Zen, Bodhidharma, said, mind is Buddha. And that became sort of, what did that become? A really strong belief. Okay? It became a strong belief. Mind is Buddha. Yeah? Mind is Buddha. Well, let's remember, no mind. And no Buddha. Okay? Because as soon as you start having an idea that, yeah, my mind is enlightened and therefore I can kill a cat. You know, wrong. Mind is not Buddha. Any idea you'll have, including mind is Buddha, is going to be wrong. Right? So we want to examine the real doubt here is not doubting the practice. It's doubting all the ideas that I'm carrying around with me about myself, others, practice, Buddha, you, me, leaves, trees, Israel, America, whatever. All of my ideas that are simply limiting the fullness, vitality, and realness of this reality and others. Okay? As always flowing in motion, changing. What does my idea do? It stops the flow. And that makes me feel comfortable because it's no longer unknown. It's known. Ideas are a way of blocking the river, damming that river. Okay, I'm going to put a dam up and now I know where the river is. I can measure it. You know? but you killed it. You killed all the fish in the river, right? So if we can have ideas, but know they're ideas and not an accurate description of reality, then we can use them or lose them. But we don't mistake them for, as I said to somebody, don't mistake the moon for the finger pointing at the moon. Like there's a finger pointing at the moon, I look at the finger and I say, moon. No, don't mistake them. Remember that the teachings are for the sake of going beyond the teachings, okay, and going to reality, which is that moon. Don't get stuck on your ideas. Now, the verse, the comment to this koan is really why I like to mention the koan, because it relates to our experience here. What is the comment? The comment is, the weather is fine and the sun appears. Rain falls and the earth becomes wet. With exceeding kindness, he explains everything. But how few have faith in his words? Okay, how few have faith in his words? With so much kindness, Nansen, you know the cat killer? Okay, with so much kindness, he explains everything. But how few have faith in his words? Okay, now what is the faith that we need to have here? Remember what his comment was, what his answer was. Mind is not Buddha, knowledge is not the way. Okay? Don't limit who you think you are, even if who you think you are is Buddha. Even calling yourself a Buddha is limiting yourself. Okay? No wisdom, no gain. Right? As soon as you say you have wisdom, then you're done. Okay? Buddha, forget it. Your life, how you suffer in this moment, how you can find joy in this moment. Come back to your experience and have faith in that. Faith and belief are two different things. I mentioned this to someone in the questions, is that, faith is in what you do, and it's based on your experience. So when you see Nansen saying, no mind, no knowledge, mind is not Buddha and knowledge is not the way, what he's saying to us is, and now go try it out. Go test it out. Go see with your experience. Has your knowledge served you well? Have your degrees led to liberation? Okay, is this really, really, not that it's not skillful, and not that it doesn't help, but we're talking about a different type of opening here. The real cultivation of selfless compassion and kindness. That is not an idea. That is simply a state of being that we can open to. And all the knowledge in the world won't lead to that if you don't practice hard. And what type of intensity of perseverance, as the Buddha said last night? Intense perseverance. What is stopping that openness? What is stopping that nature? Why are we limiting the kindness, and the love? Why are we holding it back? Mind is not Buddha, knowledge is not the way. You have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of ideas. Who is lovable? Who is not lovable? How much I can love? How much I can't love? What I can do, what I can't do? How much I can sit, how much I can't sit? Whatever. All of these ideas is mind is not Buddha. Okay, what kind of mind? The mind that I know. If you really want to open up, there's one place to go, and that's into the unknown. And the unknown is not in the future. The unknown is right here, right now, in your current experience. When you look at it and you drop some of your preconceptions and ideas of who and what you are. And our practice can bring us back to that immediacy of that question, that wondering, the curiosity. What is happening? I think I know it already. Look again. I'm bored. Are you looking? Look again. The basic mindfulness techniques, which is called RAIN, that I've sometimes explained. RAIN is an acronym, Roche Tevot, you say, to recognize what's happening, to accept what's happening, to investigate what's happening, and to not identify with what's happening. Okay? Now, those 4 things will serve you well. If you can remember rain, even on a burning hot day, it will rain. Meaning, recognize what's going on in your mind. You see it, okay? You accept it. But hey, here comes the important step. We usually think acceptance. But acceptance can lead to dullness. This is what I heard with some people, is that, yeah, I'm stuck. I've been doing the same thing for many years, and it's like comfortable, but it's not going anywhere. Okay, that's because you went from recognition to acceptance. Great. That's a really good start and really important. Did you go to the I, which is investigate? Did you look closely into the nature of change so that you can really internalize and really experience the anicca, the impermanence of that very experience? Because impermanence on an existential experience is liberating. And that is the teaching of Vipassana. But it only comes from truly looking deeply and investigating your phenomena. So yes, recognize what's going on. There's a thought, right? There's a judgment. There's a sensation, whatever it is. There's a pain. Okay, I know it already. I have this pain all the time. Accept it. Here you are, not much I can do. Now investigate it. Look closely. Look at the thoughts, the stories, the judgment, the reaction, and maybe even the change. And when you notice the change, the last stage almost happens naturally. I don't identify. I don't identify with it. Not me. Not me. I've been experiencing this pain for many years. Okay? And when I look closely, and I notice a change, and I notice that it's different, this pain is actually different. You'll notice differences by looking closely. If you don't see that your moment is different, you're not looking closely enough. And that's the investigation. And then it naturally leads to non-identification because it's not what you expected. And if every time you look at who and what you are, it's different because you looked closely, then who are you? Not something you can really label so well anymore. It doesn't mean we won't have labels or ideas or a sense of self, but we understand that as temporary, provisional, useful, and hopefully skillful, but not essential. Okay? Not essential. There is no essential self. But don't take my word for it. I'm not making that up. I'm simply saying, look closely. Examine. Open your mind. Be curious. Be curious. Come back to that sense of, what is this? Ask the questions you forgot or you stopped asking when you were 5 years old because somebody stopped giving you answers. Somebody stopped listening to you. Listen to the questions, right? Recondition your mind from the knowing mind to the unknowing mind. Last thing I want to share with you is from Lehmann Pang. I like to read Lehmann Pang because he was a layman, and so are we. So we can relate to him more easily than sometimes with someone like Nansen, who's this sort of firebrand extremist. So, or Joshu, who started teaching when he was 80. So we still, our role models can be a bit different. Lehmann Pang was married with a child, a daughter, and they all were enlightened together. So it can happen in a family. For all of you who think, how can I have a family life and live an enlightened life? Lehmann Pang. He still was crazy, though. So he went out on a boat with all this. When he first became enlightened, he went on a boat, rented a boat, took out a boat, and put all his furniture and possessions on it, and then threw it overboard. Of course, when he got back, he was in serious trouble. Because his wife was more balanced, and she understood, okay, and the daughter was the most balanced. Anyway, he said this: when the mind is at peace, the world too is at peace. Nothing real, nothing absent. Not holding on to reality, not getting stuck in the world. You are neither holy nor wise, just an ordinary fellow who is completing his work. My daily activities are not unusual. I am just naturally in harmony with them, grasping nothing, but throwing nothing away. And every place there's no hindrance, no conflict. My supernatural powers and marvelous activity is collecting water and carrying firewood. That sounds like a boring life. Unless you're Lehmann Pang. And then it's miraculous. And it's really the first line that is most instructive for us, because it changes our orientation of how we change the world. Usually we think we have to work on the outside and then create the conditions for happiness. And he said very clearly, when the mind is at peace, the world too is at peace. Does that mean people are not suffering? No. It just means you can see more clearly and let go of the conflict that you have with the world. The world may still be, other people may still have a lot of conflict, but your conflict with the world begins to heal. And that's the real work we can do here and now, without waiting for other people to change. So may we together appreciate this wonderful opportunity we have to awaken to the miraculous, supernatural abilities we have. Super meditators, heroes of the enlightened way. Yes. And really all you have to do is sit, walk, eat and drink, make your beds when you're at home, and be kind to everyone you meet.